Hey everyone, welcome to Digital Asset News. Today we got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right in. The first thing we're going to talk about, of course, is this little pump that's going on for the crypto market. I got to tell you, if the reason for this crypto pump is what we think it is, then I got to tell you, we've got a pretty long way to go. Also, I want to give just a quick update as far as a Binance audit. We talked about this yesterday, but there's just a couple of things that's been giving me some pretty bad vibes, and I'm going to reinstill the information, which is rule number 3. Also talk about Coinbase and USDC facts that I didn't know, as they want to have everybody move away from Tether. Also, Ethereum has a tentative date to unstake your Ethereum. And then we're going to talk about World Mobile Token, which is built on Cardano. And they have just jumped off of the Elon Musk's Starlink or low Earth orbit. And then lastly, of course, we'll talk about a little giveaway action to everybody in ETH and do a little Q&A. So first things first, before we even get into this part, as far as like the crypto pump, this show only exists because the people that are watching, of course, obviously, right? So I want to make this kind of a focal point and just do a couple of changes. First things first, and that is that I read everything. I read all the comments or something else. So when I see some comments, I like to bring them up to everybody's attention. And also, I'd like to apologize, first of all. This might be a rocky stream because there's been some issues with my internet as far as Puerto Rico. We've got the text coming out, so just bear with me. But the first things first, this was from Bernard Buteau, and he says, "Hey, Rob, I would be much more beneficial if you get the Coin Ledger folks on before the end of the year, as there may be some year-end actions that might help folks to minimize taxes." And I said, yeah, it's not a bad idea. So I reached out to the people at Coin Ledger, it's the tax software. They're going to bring on CPAs who are, of course, entrenched into the crypto space. And we're going to do this before the year's end. Actually, David just put it for next Monday. So we'll get that done. We'll get the information out. Also, instead of like going and waiting for the Q&A at the very end, I just want to bring up some, like, people who get here. There's some great questions and some comments. I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. And what we'll do is I'm going to talk about the questions that we're going to do in the Q&A. So if you're watching the recording, these are the things you can expect. First things first, from Road Trip Buddy, says, "Hey, if crypto becomes securities, why are we effed? Do the coins just go away?" Great question. I'll answer that in the Q&A. And also Road Trip says this: "Hey, Rob, have you noticed a drop in views? I heard that's a sign at the bottom." And I'll talk about that in detail during the Q&A. Also, just to bring this up quite quickly, let's see here. When we have this here for the, I've always talked about doing this, and I never have done it. But I just want to bring it to everyone's attention that when we talk about Bitcoin, just know that right now $1 will buy you almost 6,000 Satoshis. And not too long ago, $1 could only buy you about 4,000 Satoshis. So at some point, $1 is only going to get you about 3,000, then 2,000, then 1,000 Satoshis. So when people ask you like how much Bitcoin costs, you say, I don't know, but $1 right now will give you about 6,000 Satoshis. And that's what we have in the little preface of what we want to talk about. So let's get into the big story: crypto markets pumping. So first things first, this is what it all came down to. Bitcoin, Ethereum jump with stocks, of course, on the job report release. And what they're talking about is there was a job report release, and it looked like there was more claims being built. And it wasn't that much. It was a very small amount, and we saw a little bit of a jump. And I got to tell you, if that's what pumps the market now, a small amount, just remember that on December 13th and 14th, which is next week, we're going to get Jerome's going to come out and talk to us about what the actual increase of rates will be. Also, unemployment reports coming out December 16th. And if that has increased, then expect things to jump even more. So what did this little small amount of jobless claims do? And it wasn't even that much. We can see here that Bitcoin went up 1%, Ethereum almost 2%. This is in 24 hours. Binance coin, everything was a little bit of a pump, staked either and say either. OKB 2.3%. And then if we take a look at the S&P 500, even they had a little pump today. Also the NASDAQ. So I just find it fascinating that just a small amount of news can increase it by this much. So here's what we have. So traders responded to a Labor Department report showing a rise in jobless claims, a possible sign that federal interest rate hikes could slow down. And before I even talk about this, the Fed rate hikes, Jerome had talked about that in his last meeting. They are going to slow down, but don't get your hopes up like everything's going to go to the moon. Like we're going to go from 17,000 Bitcoin to 30,000 Bitcoin just because there's a little bit of a slowdown. Remember, when the Fed pivots, when they start to say, okay, not that we're slowing down, but we're going to stop raising rates. We're going to pause raising rates, and then we're going to actually cut rates. Once that happens, you have to understand that throughout history, what that means is that they broke something. And that's okay. I mean, it's going to happen. Just it's inevitable. But just know that after that happens, when the Fed pivots, then you see even more downturn. So what does that mean? For me, it means like, great, there's more of an opportunity to accumulate. It extends that all out. And if I know these things, I don't get frightened and I'm okay. And that's just how it is. So this again, the jobless reports, and let me scroll on here. This is what it is. It went from this small amount to a couple thousand, like 4,000, barring any getting the real data. That's all it did. Just little points. The U.S. jobless claims went up a little bit. So, of course, people look at that and go, oh, what the Fed is doing is raising rates, is doing good. People are losing their jobs. That's good, which sounds weird, but that's just how it is. So then, of course, they have a little bit of rally. But I need to make sure everybody gets this part, which is, this is from Isfar Munir, economist at Citigroup. He goes, I think it's too early to interpret higher continuing claims as a signal of a loosening labor market, meaning we're going to see a ton of unemployment go up. The holiday time is generally not attractive to workers to start a new job, compounded by many firms temporarily closing during the holiday period. I mean, maybe I see a lot of people being hired during the holidays, especially because of the influx in deliveries and things like that, but that's neither here nor there. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits increased 4,000 to a seasonally adjusted 230,000 for the week ending December 3rd. Claims are well below the 270,000 threshold, which economists said would raise a red flag. There have been a rise in layoffs in the tech sector with Twitter, which of course Elon Musk is doing that. Amazon and Meta, the parent of Facebook, announcing thousands of job cuts in November. So again, with just this little bit of news, we've turned things around as far as like a little pump. Don't expect this little pump to last. And of course, I mean, I can tell you to take profits, but in all honesty, are you going to take profits on 1% or 2%? Maybe. It's up for you. Not me. I'm waiting for a little bit higher, but that's just me. Anyhow, let me know what you think about those in the comment section. And now, just to follow up on yesterday, this was the Binance audit. And we talked about this, about how it was positive. I felt it was positive, but if you do a deeper dive into it, I mean, it's positive in the sense that it took a look at the assets that Binance has. And yes, they have those assets. They are there. Liabilities in some ways, yes, they were there. I thought that's a pretty good start. But I had my misgivings. And I talked about that in yesterday's video. One of those was collateralization between 97% and 101%. But there's another thing that we didn't really talk about, is that this is the report. And I linked in the description so you can check it out. There's a thing called agreed upon procedures, or AUPs. And that's what Mazars, who was the one that did the audit, focused on. And it wasn't in a specific type of audit, and there was a couple of holes here and there. And this is from Jesse Powell. He's the former CEO of Kraken. Usually gets a lot of things right. And he comes out and says this. He goes, look, I'll give you a hint. This is just an easy stuff that says that obviously this is not a traditional proof of reserves and should immediately have the actual journalists digging. Why use collateral value? Why negative balances? No wallet signing? Who issues BTCB and BBTC? And he talks about, this is from the report itself, and he highlights it. Assessed interchangeably for the purpose of engagement. Instructed movement of funds, but only verifying Etherscan and BSC scan as being tagged, meaning, okay, they were tagged, they weren't moved so much. USD value with negative balances, 97% collateralized. Of course, that is out of scope versus in scope. And he talks about some more things about how there's just some things that it makes me nervous, that's all. And I think we can all appreciate that, especially with what's been happening. This is from Connor, I don't know who this guy is, but he makes a good point. He says, an agreed upon procedures engagement is not an audit, a review, or other assurance engagement. An agreed upon procedures engagement does not involve obtaining evidence for the purpose of this practitioner expressing an opinion of or assurance conclusion in any form. What's the point? The point is it's a step in the right direction. But again, it makes me nervous, especially with all these centralized exchanges. And there's just been a tone of the way that CZ has been talking about things. It almost reminds me, and he talks about in one of his tweets, he said, look, he goes, for people who are spreading FUD, he goes, those are the people that stay poor. And I got to tell you, if I would have spread more FUD for other exchanges, I wouldn't have had as many people who have lost their crypto on said exchanges. So from now on, it's up to everybody else to prove me wrong and not the other way around. I don't care if I have to get something wrong to be an err on the side of caution. That's just how it's going to have to be till the end of the time. So these are the things that I think about and moving forward. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Remember, there's a reason why I put these rules up underneath me. It wasn't because I had nothing else to do. It's because I'm trying to protect myself and hopefully somebody along the way. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. It's all gone. Everything's a scam. Don't leave anything on exchanges. I don't care how stable you think they are. We learned our lesson the hard way. Don't use leverage. Take profits along the way if you can. And that's it. It's very simple. If I can't figure it all out, at least I can err on the side of caution. And then that would lead me to this exchange. Everybody's on this whole kick with SBF and FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and the things that are going on. But I found this exchange just odd. This was texts that were released between CZ, Binance, and Sam Bankman-Fried in the upcoming collapse of FTX. And I just highlighted the main point because it was very long, and just came like this. This was a group chat. I guess this is how things are done now, including CZ, Binance, and SBF. CZ was concerned that SBF was orchestrating crypto trades that could send the industry into a meltdown. And this is the thing that I think about. Was it SBF that screwed up the whole market and led us to a pretty weak, and it wasn't even a blow off top. I mean, 69,000 for Bitcoin. I was expecting at least 100K, and we didn't hit that. I just wonder, like, if it was because of that and a cascade effect behind the scenes that, you had Luna first, which SBF was screwing around with that. Then you had the problems with Three Arrows Capital. Three Arrows Capital led to a problem with Celsius. Celsius led to a problem with Voyager. And it just kind of like this cascade effect. Was that the problem? I don't know. But CZ says, stop now. Don't cause more damage. The more damage you do, the more jail time you'll get. This is back in November 10th, mind you. The series of about a dozen group texts between CZ and SBF were obtained by the New York Times. The texts also show that industry leaders were actually aware that the actions of a single firm or fluctuations in the value of one virtual currency could destabilize the whole industry, which is correct because everybody was lending to everybody else to get more yield. And that's what happened. Somebody would say, well, lend me your crypto and I'm going to give my people 7%. Okay, lend me your crypto and I'm going to give my people 8%. It's just a big circle. In November 10th text, CZ specifically accused Bankman-Fried of using his hedge fund to drive down the price of Tether, a so-called stablecoin, whose price is then remain $1, which will lead me to my next point. Things are just, just contagion. They're all connected. Coinbase wants to have you switch from Tether to USDC. And it's all about Tether reserves. And what it comes down to this. It's interesting that Coinbase takes this side, but okay. There's some things here I had no idea. Coinbase is waiving the conversion fee for users who wish to switch to a trusted stablecoin, quote unquote. The events of the past week have put some stablecoins to the test, and we've seen a flight to safety. This is from the blog post from Coinbase. We believe that USDC is a trusted and reputable stablecoin. I got to agree with them here. I mean, I never really liked Tether, but for the much of the complaining of Tether that I did, it's still pretty much been on point so far as keeping its peg. However, there's one thing I forgot, I just didn't know. Coinbase is a co-founder of USDC with Circle. Days after the FTX collapse, Tether was knocked off its peg and traded as low as 93 cents, which, as you know, that's not what it's supposed to do. Late September, Tether was ordered by a U.S. judge in New York to produce financial records relating to the backing of USDT, which so far, to my knowledge, they have not produced. There was an audit done by some audit firm in the Bahamas that said that, yes, it's good, but that's the only one that I've heard of. Recently, Binance has stopped supporting USDC as well, auto-converting customer holdings into its own stablecoin, BUSD, which again is a little bit shaky, but that's just what it is. And I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. And me personally, I am not keeping a lot of my crypto in stablecoins. Here's my personal way that I allocate my assets, my funds. So 24%, this is how I diversify. 24% is in cash, roughly. Might be more now. 1% is in stables, and I think that's going down as well. It might even be a 1% now. 5% are DGen plays. 4% are Masterworks, the fractionalized shares of art, which, by the way, is beating all the traditional markets and crypto so far. I mean, my portfolio, I don't know. 5% land, 35% is in my real estate, 5% is Amazon, 15% roughly is outside the other crypto I have. These are the ones that I stake. My IRA is only at 1% because the value keeps going down because it's all in crypto, gold and silver. And 5% roughly is in stocks. I'm trying to diversify as best I can. So that's what we have. So anyhow, that is that little piece. Again, just makes me cautious about what's going on. If whoever can make it through this market, it's going to do pretty well. Which would lead me to my next point, Ethereum. And I've been complaining about this for a while, but just real quickly, Ethereum developers are targeting March for the next software upgrade. This is supposed to be the Shanghai upgrade, and this would enable withdrawals of staked Ether tokens, which is apparently the highest priority for the developers. And just so you know, nearly 13% of all the Ethereum tokens are staked right now, and you can't do anything with that until this Shanghai update. So, like, as opposed to, like, say, Avalanche or Cardano or Near or anything else like that, you can unstake at some point. But with Ethereum, you can't do that. But now it looks like it's going to be March. This is what they're saying. But again, they've moved the goalpost before, so just be aware that ETH developers have often delayed upgrades. So that's good news for Ethereum holders. I like that. And then lastly, speaking of utility, World Mobile Token. I've talked about this before because I own it and I'm super biased. But I found this just came out this morning. World Mobile is essentially giving connectivity to the unconnected, mostly in Africa. But they did it's called a low Earth orbit, or a LEO trial, and it helps World Mobile accelerate connectivity in their mission. Here's what happened. Communication network World Mobile ramped up its operations across Africa following successful test of LEO, low Earth orbit satellites. This was carried out in the UK and the US for the testing purposes. They used Elon Musk's Starlink satellite network as an option for providing internet to World Mobile's air nodes. Also, full disclosure, I'm a node operator for World Mobile. The network's internet access points, which are air nodes. The connection delivered impressive broadband speeds, latency, and stable connectivity with download speeds of up to 400 megabytes per second. And now for some people, that's not a lot, but for here in Puerto Rico, I should just get this because it's super cheap and it's a lot less expensive than Starlink. Low Earth orbit satellites are among the many tech available to World Mobile's blockchain-based network. I didn't know they could do this, but they are. The pilot test demonstrated that remote connectivity with LEO satellites, which serve as a constellation network, can provide robust Wi-Fi services. It's pretty cool. Aerostats are used by World Mobile to provide a layer of connectivity. And aerostats, just think of them as big blimps. That's all they are. They're blimps. A layer of connectivity that complements LEO satellites. So they shoot up these blimps. They get a range of around 70 kilometers. They use the air nodes to bounce the connectivity up there. And then if they want another layer, they bounce it up to the low Earth orbit satellites. This is the advantage that the payload can be changed, modified, or repaired by simply lowering the blimp, the aerostat. In the future, high-altitude assisted balloons operating as platforms can also add a layer between aerostats and LEO satellites that can consolidate data from several aerostats and then back all the data via LEO. Well, that was boring, but that's just what it was. So, I mean, on that part, it's pretty cool. It's got utility, great. And then this is not like theoretical. Hold on. You go to World Mobile Token and click on World Mobile Token Scan. You can see just how much data is being processed right now. It looks like, oh, wow. So before it was below, it was below 1,000 gigabytes, which is 1 terabyte. Now they're up to 2. It was always like around 1 point something. Now it's at 2.33 terabytes. That's what's happening in Zanzibar, South and Central Africa, and these different nodes. So this is actually going on right now. And that's what we call utility, my friends. And just to break this down, to talk about how this actually works, it's kind of confusing because really, like, even for me, I'm not explaining this right. But there's a great video. It's about a minute and a half. Just take a listen to this. This will explain the whole thing.
Okay, so it rolls like this. There are way over 3 billion people on this planet who are unconnected. So we designed a network that is cheaper and can go further than existing networks, and we're rolling out in Tanzania. Here's a stick man with an air node. That's one of the elements that makes up our network. A user can easily connect to an air node by downloading the app for free and creating an account. When the user creates an account, they're also creating a self-governed digital ID on a Tala Prism, which is baked right into the core of our tech. To make calls, send messages, browse the internet, stream content, or use value-added services such as banking or other financial apps, users must be online. To be online, users purchase credits at a local store using local money. The user's first action, now they have balance, is to make a phone call to one of their friends. To do this, the user connects to an air node, opens the application, dials their friend's telephone number, and waits. Within milliseconds, the air node checks the balance of the user by querying the distributed ledger running on the Earth nodes. The request confirms from multiple sources of truth using the Earth nodes chain that the user has credits and allows the call to be placed. Now both friends are talking. Whilst the friends talk and consume data, the air node owner is able to open up the air node app and see how many rewards they have earned from all users on their network. Air node owners are only able to see non-personal information because the world mobile chain is secure and private. We also mentioned Earth nodes earlier. Earth nodes provide authentication, identity, blockchain, internode communication, telecommunication services, and much more. They're the brain of the network, the core. Similar to air node operators, Earth node operators can log into their Earth node app to see the rewards that they have earned. Now let's get back to our users on the phone. They're just about to hang up. Okay, they've just hung up. The call ends. The metadata of the call is wrapped and encrypted and then sent to an Earth node. Once the Earth node has the package, it extracts some hash value to serve as a reference for the transactions and financial information and sends it to the blockchain.
Great. So like all that stuff they just talked about, let me see here. Let me go back. It all comes out of this. Those right there, those are the nodes. So they install those. This is in a place called the Caravan Park. I forgot where it is, but just look at this. Let me mute this off. Imagine telecommunications. You know how expensive it is to put up those towers? It's super expensive, right? Because you have to bounce it off and these different cables and lines. So when they do this, they can just put these in. They can bounce the data off, and then they have those things called those aerostats, those blimps up top, and they put these up in like a couple of days. And that was it. And it gave all the mobile service telecommunications to this little island here, wherever it was. And that's essentially it in a nutshell. Then they use the World Mobile Token, which is built on Cardano, and that's called utility. You can't beat that. So anyhow, that's what we have for the news today. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Now let's get into the Q&A and, of course, the giveaway. I think that's the most important thing, right? So let's see here. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank Shield Folio. They're actually going to be giving away one of these beauties. I've got like 3 or 4 of these. I've got like 3, I think now, of these books. No, I got 4. Yeah, I got 4. So these ones, they're important to have because if you ever lose your mnemonic phrases like I've done before, it's a big pain in the A because you can't get your crypto back no matter how hard you try. Right now, they're $34. But then there's a link in the description, get 20% off. So like with this, they are water resistant, tear resistant, smudge resistant, and they just keep everything in a nice organized fashion. That's the whole thing. So they're going to be giving away that. Also, we're giving away $250 in Ethereum thanks to Ladies NFT, which work together with These Nuts NFT. And they're launching up their play to earn game momentarily. Also, they're going to be minting on the weekend. So I put out this tweet. I said, hey, you want to win $250? Just do this. Retweet this, follow this, do this, comment, blah, blah. You know the deal. So let's do this live. I'm going to take this here. Go to Twitter Picker. Load the tweet. All right. So let's see. You must follow at Jack. No. News asset at Ladies NFT. Oh, I spelled it right for once. And the profile must have a picture, description, count age at least 1 month. I don't want to give it to bots. And there you go. So let's see. Continue. Here's all the people. Congratulations, people. Continue. Begin the drawing. Oh, wow. NFT General. Good for you. NFT General, congratulations on winning. I will follow you so you can now message me directly. We'll get your ERC20 wallet address and send over the money. And also, we'll need your address to send you the book. But that is it for today, my friends. So look, if you like today's